What's going on, guys? This is Mo with Live.Life.Trading here. I'm going to show you very quickly a tutorial on how you could set up your Thinkorswim platform. So this is what Thinkorswim looks like. Just want to make sure I'm sharing my screen. Nice, beautiful, clean chart, right? Only problem is it doesn't really tell us that much. Sure, it tells us where the earnings are. Sure, it tells us the low and the high, and it tells us what the price is trading at and the volume, but it doesn't really have any indicators or anything like that. So as clean as a chart it is, it doesn't really help us that much, right? So when we first start out, I'm going to try my best not to say right so much because I definitely do say that a lot and it's getting annoying. I'm starting to hear it and I don't like it. So almost said it again there. Okay, let's not say that. Anyways, this is what Thinkorswim looks like. First thing you want to do is you want to double your grid. Well, actually, you're probably going to start out on the home screen once you get your account up and running, right? So you just want to hit this chart tab right here, and then from then on you want to make this from a 1 panel to a 2 panel, because we're going to put our 180-day, our big picture, over on this side, and then we're going to have our intraday on this side. So first thing you're going to do is, here's your watch list, and I actually am going to link it to whatever is over here, right? So perfect. Now we're going to set this up. I'm just going to put it as my futures for now. I like to have all my watch lists down here, just so I can have my futures. You know, I can have my daily watch list, I can have my swing watch list, I can have my general, my active uptrending, my pending reversals, yada yada yada, all that good stuff, right? First thing you want to do is 180-day time frame this, because we want to look at the 6-month 180-day chart, because we want to see what this stock has been doing for the last 6 months, right? Now we got this right here as our pattern. Perfect. Let's fine tune this just a little bit. First of all, I like to overlap my volume here, and what this does is you're going to see right here, boom, just merges the volume and this graph so you can have a little bit more space. The next thing that I like to do is go into your price axis tab. Sorry, we're going to go into the time axis tab, and then we're going to set this expansion area to 50. And what this does is this actually extends the chart over so that you can kind of see a little bit extra of what hasn't happened yet. And this just kind of makes it easier for me to kind of like see the picture and see where my trend lines are going, and makes it a little easier to draw trend lines, extend them out, that kind of thing. Favorite time frames. What I like to do for this one is, these are the time frames that I like to use. I like to add my own time frame. This is a 2-day 5-minute time frame that I'm going to add, and you literally just do it like that, and I'm going to put it in its right spot. So these are the time frames that I like to use the most. This 5-day 15-minute I don't really use that much, but these are the ones that I use the most. I use the 180-day 4-hour chart, I use my 20-day 1-hour chart, I use my 10-day 30-minute chart, 5-day 5-minute, 2-day 5-minute, and 1-day 1-minute. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hit apply there. Appearance. You can leave everything the exact same, just like this. You can actually customize this to your liking. You could change all the colors. If you don't want the green candles to be green for whatever reason, you can make them pink if you really want to. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to leave it exactly like that. One thing I do like to change here is the background. I just like to make it from gray to black. And what this does is it just cleans up the appearance a little bit. And then the grid lines that you see here, see those faint grid lines that you see? I don't like seeing those. I just like a nice clean chart. So that's exactly what I do there. Equities tab, you don't really need to do anything in here. Options tab, you also don't need to do anything in here. Futures tab, we're going to just hit adjust for contract changes. And in the Forex tab, I don't trade Forex, so I don't need to do anything with that. So now this is our chart. This is what we have. It's pretty clean. It's not bad. And this is our 180-day chart, right? Now let's set up our daily chart. So we're going to link this to red just to make it so that it shows the exact same stock. This one's going to show the 180-day chart, and this one's going to show our 1 day, 1 minute, not our 1 year, 1 day. Okay, so 1 day, 1 minute. Perfect. Now we're going to do the exact same thing for this. The only thing I like to change is I like to, actually on this side, I like to change my alerts to show arrows only. So what this does is, I'll actually show you. I'm going to create an alert right here, And it doesn't really matter what the alert is, but on this side, you see how it's only this little arrow, it doesn't have that stupid mark bar. So I like to have it on this little arrow just because I'm looking at the bigger picture. I don't want to be distracted by all these lines and stuff. But on the 1 day, 1 minute chart, I don't mind having it here. It's okay to have it there because then you're looking at the smaller picture and you're looking at more things. So that's what I like to do with that. On this side, just leave it the exact same way. Overlap volume, we're going to do that again. Price axis, we don't need to change anything. Expansion area, again, we're going to go 50. You don't have to type that in. You can literally just like drop down and select it. Favorite time frames, we've already done that. The background color, so we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. We're just going to change it, remove the grid, and bam, nice, clean grid. Woo! Perfect, right? Again, options, we don't need to do that. We're going to adjust for contract changes in this one too, and that's pretty much it. Now you have your 180 day, now you have your 1 day, 1 minute chart set up, and they're both looking pretty clean. I'm liking how this looks so far, but we're not quite done. We're still not seeing a lot of information. We just cleaned up the charts a little bit and made them a little bit easier to read. Let's add some studies. So that's what you do. You click this little beaker here with some science experiment in it or whatever, studies, right? First one you're going to add is your simple moving average. And you're going to hit this options button right here. You're going to change this from 9 to 180. You see that? You see the length? You want to change that to 180. And then you want to also change the color to green. You can set your indicators to whatever you like. This is just what I like to use. You can change the colors. You can make it whatever you like. These are the colors that I'm used to, so this is how I keep it. Now we have our 180 day SMA. Perfect. Let's add our exponential moving average now. So here's our moving average exponential, and this is the 180 day chart. So for this, we're just going to change this from 9 to 15. The color, we can leave it as blue, or you can change it to whatever you like. That's it for the price. Now we need to do the lower section. So what we want to do with that is we want to put our RSI, and I like to leave the settings exactly like that, but if you're a beginner, you can change this to 40 and 70 just to kind of see overbought and over. Actually, you know what? I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what it looks like in just a second here. The last thing that you want to add is your MACD. Okay, so this is the MACD. Basically, you're going to have your RSI, your MACD on the lower, on their own separate tabs, and then in the price, you're going to have simple moving average at 180, and you're going to have your moving average as 15. Okay, so once we hit apply, boom, our chart's going to look like this now. Now you can save this as a set. You can save it, you can name it whatever you want. So for me, I usually put 180 day, 4 hour, and then I hit save, right? Boom, done deal. So this is what the RSI looks like when you put it to 60 and 40. So you can clearly see when it's overbought or when it's oversold, right? You don't have to understand that right now. I'll explain that in a later video, so don't worry too much about that. But basically, if you're a beginner, I recommend you do set it as this, and there's a link for the Discord group on supply and demand, and explains a lot better why you should set it to 60 and 40. But for me personally, I barely use the RSI indicator anyways, just because I kind of can tell at this point in my trading career when it's overbought and oversold. You see how it's a little bit harder to tell when it's overbought and oversold? It just like shows you a bit more of a bigger picture. But once again, it's personal preference. These indicators are not going to make, well, they are going to make you a better trader in the fact that you can predict the trends and learn how to know the direction of the stock a little bit better. But other than that, if you can trade with no indicators at all, then by all means go for it, right? I personally don't, because I like to see a little bit information with my graphs. So now we have this one done. It's looking nice. It's looking clean. I'm actually going to get rid of these two lines right here because I don't really, you know what? I'll just leave them. Screw it. Drawing set, we want to put to these trend line right here, and boom, now we have this chart set up pretty nicely, right? Live news, I usually have this chilling right here, and I just bring it all the way down to the bottom, and now we have the chart, we have the RSI, we have the MACD, and then we have the live news at the bottom. Perfect. We're done here, right? This is our second chart. So this is our intraday chart, which I already have set to the 1 day, 1 minute time frame. We're going to add the same indicators and the same studies. So what you can do with that, I already made a study set. I called it 180-day 4-hour. Now because this is the 180-day 4-hour, we're going to tweak it just a little bit and just give us a little bit more information. First thing you want to do is that 15 moving average, you want to change that to a 9. Now this is going to be your day trading setup, so it's going to be a little bit different, not by much, but a little bit. So we're going to add another moving average exponential. This one's going to be 20. You're going to change the length to 20 right here. I like to change the style to one of these so it's dotted so I can differentiate them, and then I like to change the color and make it this orangey brown color. Not really sure what color that is, but nonetheless, either way, it works. And that's all that matters for me. I don't know why I'm touching that, but here we go. Now this is our intraday chart. We're missing one other study right here, and this is our volume weighted average price, which is called VWAP for short. You could just leave the settings on completely normal, hit apply, and boom. Here we go. Now we got our 180-day chart set up pretty nicely, and we have our 1 day, 1 minute chart set up pretty nicely. So I'm going to explain a little bit what this does. The EMA, now we have two EMA lines. Now we have the blue, which is the 9 EMA, and we have the orange one, the dotted orange one, which is our 20 EMA. What this does is basically a second indicator of MACD. It's a day trading setup. So I'll explain all of this a little bit more in detail, but what the MACD does is it basically tells you when to buy and when to sell. Now, it's not always 100% accurate like with the stock market, nothing's ever 100%, but when you have your MACD, do you see how you have a blue and a yellow line right here? Or I guess it's a beige line. When the blue line crosses under the yellow line, that's a sell signal. That means the stock is most likely going to go down. Okay, and then another example is when the blue line crosses the yellow line and goes over it, that's a good indicator that tells you the stock is ready to buy, and it's probably going to start reversing back up. The EMA lines that we added into our intraday studies, holy can you relax, man? Jeez. I'm going to just put that on silent. Sorry about that. The EMA is going to tell you basically that same information, right? What you want to do with the EMA is you want to buy when the candle is closer to the blue EMA. And then you want to ride it up until the candle begins to start curling over and crossing below. Do you see that? Do you see how you buy it when the EMAs are kind of like stuck together like that, and then they spread apart a little bit? And when they spread apart, it tells you, okay, this is most likely going to stay higher for a little while. Do you see that? Do you see how it stays spread, 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 spread until about right here, it starts to peak. It stops, the direction stops going up, and it stops increasing this way when the line is supposed to go. Let me show you with my drawing line. So instead of continuing to go this way, now it started to peak and curl back down this way. This is a good indication that the stock is probably heading back down. And then when this begins to cross under, let's find an example here. See how it crosses under? Now the stock is general direction is starting to trend down. And again, the blue line crosses over the orange dotted EMA line, and that's a good indication that the stock is going up. Same thing over here. Blue line crosses under. Good indication that the stock is general direction is starting to trend back down. You see how the EMA works? It works the exact same way as the MACD. If you can tell, right there, crosses over, crosses under. Crosses right under. This is a sell signal, right? Same with this. crosses over, starts to head up. This is a buy signal. And then you can see on the chart again, boom. And that's pretty much it. Now the other things that I like to do, just to give me a little bit more at a glance that I can look at when I'm trading. So time and sales is not going to work right now because the market's closed. I usually have my time and sales just set up right here. And it basically all it tells you is how many shares are being sold at what time and at what price. It's a good indicator when you're day trading just to see what the stock is trading at. I don't have it open all the time, like when I'm reviewing my stocks or I'm just looking at patterns or whatever the case. This is only when I'm actually trading during the day. Sometimes I like to have it open just so I can see a little bit more information at a glance. Same with the level 2. We're going to add the level 2 down right here, and we're just going to pull it all the way down. Now, the way I like to trade is I like to find a stock. So for example, let's look at the SPY, just a random stock, right? I like to look at my 180-day chart, and then I like to see the pattern. When I'm looking at my 180-day chart, you just double click this blue tab right here, and it makes it a full screen tab. Now you can see your news down here. You can see what's going on with the stock. You can see the big picture of the stock in full screen, in full form, right? And this is what we're looking at. This is where you find your patterns. This is where you see, okay, this is an uptrend. This is an ascending uptrend pattern. Now it's starting to downtrend. See, you can see the bigger picture. This 180-day chart is better for swing trades and just to see the overall direction that the stock is heading. Now, when you're day trading, it's a completely different scenario, okay? When you're day trading, the stock is going to move up, it's going to move down, it's going to move up, it's going to move down. But on this overall big picture pattern, the stock is probably either going to just go up or down, just like one tick. You see that? This is pre-market, so it was red, then it went green, 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 and then the stock opened, then it went green, red, and now it's market again. So it's a much bigger picture, like a bigger scale kind of thing, whereas the day trading is a much more finite area of what you can see with that. And when I'm day trading, I look at my 180-day chart first just to see the overall direction. So I can tell right away that this stock is pointing down. The EMA does look like it is starting to recover, but the overall trend line of the 180-day SMA is pointing down. So that means most likely what the stock does in the day does not matter. Overall, it's most likely going to trade lower than it already did. So if you can see from this price level right here, the stock, when it opened higher than average, right? But because the general EMA is pointing down, the stock closed lower. And that's all these indicators do, is just basically tells you direction. And that's all you need when it comes down to trading. And that's pretty much it for the video, guys. Again, when I'm taking a position, my screen looks like this. I'd full screen this just so I can see. The 180-day is just a glance. I take a look at it right before I take a position, and then I use my 1 day, 1 minute chart to see when a good time to take a position is. So I time my entries and my exits with this smaller time frame chart here. And another thing that I like to do is I like to start from the biggest time frame. Well, in this case, the biggest time frame for me is going to be 6 months, 4-hour chart. I don't usually use the 1 year, 1 day or the 3-year weeks. I've checked them maybe a couple times, but I don't really use them personally. You can if you want to. There's nothing against it. Trading is your own personal preference, right? So whatever works for you. This is the setup that works for me, and this is what I use every single day on a daily basis. So I like to look at my 180-day chart, and then I like to move lower into time frames. So I like to go onto my 20-day. So I like to start squeezing in and like narrowing in. It's kind of like you taking a magnifying glass and you see an ant, for example, but you see like the general silhouette of the ant, right? Now you take a magnifying glass and you're kind of like zooming in and you're seeing like the legs, the delicate features, the body, the abdomen, that kind of thing. That's basically what you do with these stocks too. You see the big picture and then you figure out the overall general direction, and then you shorten your time frames. You reduce them, you reduce them, you reduce them, so you can see what the stock has been doing on a shorter time frame. Now you have your 1 day, 1 minute. Looks like the stock yesterday opened higher, closed lower than the open today. So now the stock is trading higher, which means it's a little on the overbought side, which means there's probably a chance that it's going to correct itself and start trending back down, just like this EMA or this SMA, sorry, line suggests. See that? When the SMA line, if you can draw an arrow on this SMA line, what direction would it be pointing, right? If I were to draw an arrow, it would look exactly like that, and it would be pointing in the up direction. But at this point, it would be a little bit more sideways because the stock is starting to trade a little bit more sideways, consolidation for that matter. And now it crosses under this EMA line, which means the direction, overall direction of the stock on the day is starting to head down. Now, if you drew an arrow right here, this is an indication that the stock is heading down. And that's pretty much it for that. Pretty self-explanatory, not that difficult. I know I explained probably a lot more than I should have, but all of these terms, all of these indicators, everything like that, I'm going to go over in much greater detail in later videos. The only thing that I wanted to show you today is how to set up your broker and make it look like mine, because this is what I use on a daily basis, and this is how I trade every single day. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate it. Thank you for being a member of Live Life Trading, and have yourself a wonderful day. Hope this video helps. Ciao.